Welcome to IST 614, Management Principles for Information Professionals. My name is Bob Heckman. I'm your professor for this course, and we'll be working together for the next few weeks on the principles of management for information professionals, a topic that is very near and dear to my heart. So you have some idea where I'm coming from. Let me tell you just a few things about my background. I started working the first time when I was 13, and I had over the next few years 10 or 15 different jobs that ranged from shining shoes to playing keyboard in a rock and roll band. I got a bachelor's degree at the University of Pennsylvania in English literature, and I spent my time there studying the relationships between James Joyce and the Romantic poets. Not much management so far, right? After I graduated, however, I found that I needed a real job, and so I took a programmer's aptitude test published by IBM over and over and over again until I developed sufficient aptitude to be hired by a bank in Philadelphia to write programs. And for the next 20 years, I worked in the information systems world, rising through the ranks from programmer trainee, ultimately to where I served as an executive manager and CIO in a number of different contexts. So I had a lot of practical exposure to the field of management, managing a lot of people and being managed by a number of people myself. After I had worked for 20 years, I got a PhD in information systems from the University of Pittsburgh, and I began to be exposed to the academic side of management. And I went to work at Syracuse University as a professor and served as an associate dean, a program director, and eventually as senior associate dean. So I had some exposure to the practical side of management in the academic sphere. Telling you all this is to let you know that my approach to management is probably shaped much more by my practical experiences with management than it is by the theories that we're going to be talking about in this course. We'll have a lot of exposure to theory, but we're going to also have a lot of exposure to what's practical in management. Overview of the course: it introduces you to the profession and practice of management in the information field. It covers themes that are common to management in all kinds of contexts, both for-profit, non-profit, large and small, public sector, any organization where people are grouped together to create collective, collaborative performance requires management. And what we're going to talk about is relevant to all of those segments. It will prepare you to understand theory. We're going to talk about some of the basic theoretical principles of organizational studies, what scholars have learned about the various dimensions of management. But it's also going to give you an opportunity to practice some of the basic foundational skills, the practices that you need to develop to be an effective leader and manager in your career. This course covers 4 major topics. You'll see some version of this slide a couple more times before we're finished in this course. We're going to talk about leadership. We're going to talk about strategic thinking and strategic planning and what strategy actually is. We're going to talk about the human dimension of organizations, which is how you divide labor, departmentalize work, and manage the very human aspects of the people that are in an organization. And finally, we'll talk about the control mechanisms that many organizations employ to make sure that performance is going in the right direction. What I think is especially valuable about this course is that you will find a lot of hands-on practice. We have a semester-long or course-long case study that will give you the opportunity to play the role of a senior information leader, either a CIO or a dean of libraries. And by playing that role from the beginning of the course to the end, you're going to learn how to actually perform a number of leadership activities. You're going to compose effective communications, something that's very important for every leader, do strategic analyses, perform a cost-benefit analysis, create a scoring model so that you can choose the best strategic investment. You're going to lead effective face-to-face meetings, distributed meetings, interpret basic tools for controlling financial performance, and finally you're going to create a detailed organizational budget and learn how to defend that budget to your superior with a persuasive budget justification. This project is probably the most important element of the course. We will have lectures. We're going to do a number of case studies. We're going to hear from senior leaders in the field, and we'll read a number of interesting articles. We have 2 textbooks in the course, but we're going to rely on this end-to-end course project to really give you a chance to roll up your sleeves and do leadership work. Finally, I want to stress that the questions that you ask, that you think through and develop and ultimately ask, are a critical element of this course. You will have the opportunity to shape the synchronous discussions that we'll have each week by posting questions on the various readings in advance. The ability to craft and ask good, thought-provoking questions is an intellectual skill in its own right, and these questions will really make the course your course for you. The better your questions, the more you're going to learn and the more benefits you're going to get from this course. So let's roll up our sleeves, let's have some fun, and let's get started.